Today I found out that Nintendo has lifted their once strict stance on ROMs and emulators. They are now cool with it. They're totally fine. If you want to get a ROM from just some website for like Super Mario Bros. Wonder and you want to play it on your PC and not a Nintendo Switch, Nintendo is cool with you doing that. I found out all of this and then I woke up. I found out it was just a dream. Yeah, Nintendo, they have made it very clear they do not like ROMs. They don't like emulators. They especially don't like pirated content. Now, I will say, though Nintendo does, I know, get quite a bit of flack on kind of their strict stance on all of this stuff, I do understand to a degree, at least in terms of the pirated content, like just straight up uploading a file of like an entire Nintendo game that, maybe just came out last week and now all of these people are just downloading it that way versus buying it. I get the outrage over that. I definitely can understand, at least to a degree, how a company would want to go after people who do that kind of thing, because after all, that is less profit for them, and businesses, well, it turns out they like to make money. Now, Nintendo has done many things to prevent this from happening. They have gone through legal proceedings. They've gone through different things in court. I've talked about many of these situations. I remember a recent one was talking about like the Switch Pirates subreddit and how they tracked down like a big, I don't know if you want to call it like a ringleader, but they tracked down an alleged nefarious user from that subreddit, and now they are apparently pressing legal charges. Yeah, these stories are all over the place. Now, this one is kind of big. This is talking about a very big file hosting website in the country of France, and it is called One Fichier. I was definitely confused on what in the world this name even is. Like, it's the number one and then whatever Fichier is. But then I grew a brain and realized they are out of France, so I did a little Googling, and yeah, Fichier means file, so that makes sense. So One Fichier, it turns out, kind of has a track record of apparently, allegedly, having files on their website that contain ROMs of games. Now, obviously, that by itself isn't necessarily their fault. I mean, the people who own the website aren't the ones that are uploading this content. It is just the users. But the argument here, and the reason Nintendo took them to French court, is because they have an actual obligation to take these files down when these files are illegal and nefarious. That's kind of Nintendo's standpoint on this whole thing. I don't know exactly how bad the Nintendo ROM situation was on One Fichier, but I do know that the matter was taken to court by Nintendo in 2021. That is when this all started, and it's kind of been a crazy back and forth from there. They have been ordered twice now to pay Nintendo a fine, and then twice One Fichier, or I guess the website's owner, D-Storage, they would file an appeal. Now, the second time, the most recent time they have filed this appeal, this was actually brought to the top of the top courts in France, like this would be the US version of the Supreme Court, and it turns out that today it has just come out that, yes, this high court in France has also, along with the other courts that were before them, they too have sided with Nintendo here. So it is pretty much settled at that point. Like I said, this is the highest court in France, so unless there is a step above them that's like God or something, then yeah, I think this matter is officially settled. Now, along with paying a fine, there's kind of something else that comes with it, something big for the website of One Fichier, especially involving Nintendo ROMs. So the website Eurogamer, who later got a statement from Nintendo, which I will go through, Eurogamer says Nintendo's victory means European file-sharing companies must now remove illegal copies of games when asked to do so, or be held accountable and cough up potentially sizable fines as punishment. Yeah, so I think this all started from what it sounds like anyway. I don't know if this is just hearsay, but it sounds like Nintendo was having an issue with One Fichier because they were requesting that a lot of these files get taken down, and One Fichier was allegedly not taking them down. I don't know if they were being stubborn, or I don't know if they just have like a complicated process you have to go through to get it removed, but yeah, regardless, Nintendo did not like that, and so they took it to court. But what I'm getting at is that, yeah, now that cannot be the case for any file-sharing company, I guess not only in France, but in Europe. That's what Eurogamer says. I don't know how true that is. I would assume this just applies to France, but who knows? So yeah, these websites, these file-sharing websites, them just deciding to stall the process, that's no longer an excuse that they can use. If a big company like Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony, if they are claiming just, a blatant copyright strike or something on these files, then yes, these websites are legally required to take these files down, or they could face quote-unquote sizable sizable fines as punishment. Now, like I said, Nintendo did give Eurogamer a statement on this matter. It wasn't a long statement, but the part that stuck out to me was when they said, together with the recent decision of the 15th of January 2025, confirming that a major French bank had rightfully terminated a payment processing agreement with OneFisheer due to lacking anti-piracy measures, the French Supreme Court leaves no doubt that share hosting providers like OneFisheer are not a safe haven for storing and sharing illegal content. So yeah, wow. It definitely sounds like this website is, gonna go through some changes right now. I mean, they can't just run things business as usual. And it sounds like this is going to be the case not just for all French file hosting websites, but maybe all throughout Europe, which is huge for pirated games. I was curious, by the way, so I did a little deep dive on OneFisheer. There's not a lot I can find on Google about this website, but I did actually find, after a bit of digging, that they were actually named by the US government in 2022 as a notorious market for counterfeiting and piracy. Like, they're in this actual, huge PDF, spreadsheet or something that the government did on, websites that are, notorious markets for things like this. Yeah, basically in this government document, they give, little brief synopses of these different websites that the US government deems as, notorious for these kinds of nefarious markets. So for OneFisheer, I'll just read this real quick because it's just one little paragraph. It says, this cyberlocker, that's what they're calling it, is popular in France and reportedly makes premium pirated content, such as unlicensed movies and video games, available to the public. Despite a criminal conviction against the France-based administrator of the site, including a 1-year suspended prison sentence and significant fines, right holders state that the site has failed to come into compliance. Right holders continue to raise concerns about OneFisheer's extremely low response rate to takedown requests, and one right holder has reported a response rate to notice and takedown requests of 0.71% as of September 2022. 0.71%. That is less than 1%. So this reportedly not only attracts more unauthorized uploaders, but also benefits linking websites that index links to content hosted on OneFisheer. Yeah, now that was a synopsis given in 2022, 3 years ago. I would say with today's developments, this is going to drastically change for them very soon. And like I said, depending how big OneFisheer is at hosting these ROMs, it will potentially be very big for OneFisheer, but on a very, very bigger scale, this has the potential to be way bigger than OneFisheer. I'm talking all of these file hosting websites in France and, like I said, maybe all of Europe. Things could change for these websites very fast. We will see what that actually looks like going forward.